What's up, everyone? Back with another haul video, and look at this giant stack of trade paperbacks that I just got. I picked these up today from Ollie's Bargain Outlet, which, if you're not familiar with it, it's just a kind of like a Big Lots or a TJ Maxx style store where they buy big things that are on huge discount prices and put them out there. I guess they acquired a whole bunch of DC trade paperbacks, so they were at my neighborhood Ollie's in a basically on cinder blocks and like plywood, and they were just stacks and stacks. I couldn't believe the selection, and they were super cheap. This one was, let's see if it's focus on there, $4. So I paid between $3 and $4, and there's one $5 one in here for each of these. Altogether, this giant stack was $50. Just about it. It was like $53.49. I'm gonna go through and talk about which ones I bought and why I bought them. If I can get it to focus. Starting off the top is JSA. Now, they had pretty much, I mean, I didn't sit there and assemble it because there was a lot to look at, but it seemed like they definitely had the first volume, second volume, third volume. I got volumes 7, 10, and 12. These are just the ones that actually have my JSA right up there on that bookshelf. So yeah, these are the ones that happen to be missing. So that was super awesome, super convenient. So I got JSA, Princes of Darkness, Black Vengeance, and Ghost Stories. So these two are Jeff Johns' one. This is after, I think this takes place after Infinity Crisis. So it's Paul Levitz in the book. Next up, we've got Outsiders. This is one of the later volumes. Volume 6. Later volumes of the Nightwing-led Outsiders team. Really cool book. This one's by Judd Winnick. He did a lot of the issues on the series, and actually, for the most part, really like his style. And then we've got Rand Thanagar Holy War. I mentioned in my to-read box list video that Jim Starlin did a whole bunch of like DC Cosmic stuff the same way he did Marvel Cosmic stuff. This was all a little bit later, so there's this, like, Jim Starlin's one of those guys who kind of like plants seeds in his stories, and then he goes back to them and builds on them over time. So it's hard to say when this really started. I know Hardcore Station plays a lot into it, so I have the Hardcore Station miniseries from, I want to say it's either late 90s or early 2000s, and then it goes through a bunch of them. So there's like Rand Thanagar War, and then I think it's called Strange Adventures with Comet Man, and then this is Rand Thanagar Holy War. I've heard this one isn't as good as one of the weaker links of his like big cosmic epic, but I already had volume 2, so I figured I'd pick up volume 1. And then this is Midnighter, the Wildstorm Midnighter. So this is during the late 2000s. Wildstorm did their like Worldstorm relaunch that was kind of a huge failure. It was supposed to be a whole bunch of really good creative teams. So there was like Jim Lee and Grant Morrison on Wildcats, I think. And then Grant Morrison and Gene Ha on The Authority. Those issues eventually came out. Wildcats never did. The Midnighter series pretty much kept pace. It kept coming out every month. I have the first 2 volumes of this, and this is the third and final volume. So that was really fortunate. They had 2 giant stacks of these. And then I've got some ABC books. So this was really weird. This is an ABC book, which is the Alan Moore kind of universe with like Tom Strong and Promethea and all those. And normally, so I have some of the ABC stuff right on this bookshelf over here. And they all say like, yeah, it's going to look terrible, but so basically they all say ABC on the side, and I noticed that this one actually says Vertigo. So I thought that was interesting. I guess they're rebranding these as Vertigo. It's really not Vertigo. Vertigo has a very certain style. ABC is kind of a totally different style, so it's weird that they would rebrand that like this. But whatever. So this is both Terra Obscura volumes. If you're not familiar with this, it is a spin-off of the Tom Strong series, where he takes a bunch of the like public domain superheroes and puts them on a roll together. So I've never read it. I definitely have the first volume. I don't have the second volume, and this is both. So really excited to read that. And then I had almost bought these. Barnes & Noble was doing their like buy 2 get 1 free set, and I really wanted to pick up the Smallville comics because I do really enjoy them. And these are the next 2 I needed. They just happened to be there. That was awesome. So I picked both of them. Alien, I'm not real sure what it's about. I know Batman plays a pretty prominent role in it, and I do like the Smallville Batman's pretty cool. He has a bunch of interesting character twerks. So yeah, Batwing, or yeah, Nightwing's his partner, Barbara Gordon, and then there's Batman. So yeah, I got this one, and then Lantern obviously is a Green Lantern in the Smallville universe. This also has a one-shot in the back that is the Smallville version of the Teen Titans, and actually this is Miss Martian and Superboy, which a lot of people know. They had a relationship on the Young Justice show, and then Ravager. So yeah, super cool. I love the Smallville comic books. I was a big fan of the Smallville show, and then just to have the universe kind of completed, I think they put enough of them out because they stopped. I think they did like a big like Infinity Crisis type thing, and then they stopped. So I'm excited to finish these and go along with it, especially because it's the same guy writing all of them. Brian Q. Miller has been pretty much all of the season 11 comic books. I'm pretty sure he had a part in. And next up, this was an interesting find. I don't try to get a lot of Batman stuff just because I have so much already. But this one, it was super cheap. Yeah, $4. And yeah, it's their earliest appearances of the post-crisis Jason Todd. So like the stories where he like took the wheel off the Batmobile, and then I think he was living with like a halfway house or some kind of orphan's house where they were actually criminals or something. So I'm going to be reading this. This is something I might flip right away. I'm just curious. For $4, I figured I'd give it a read and see if it's worth keeping. I do like Jason Todd. This was a fun little find. I like to buy these when they're really cheap, and this one was only $3. I couldn't believe it. It's just like black and white reprints. A lot of people call them phone book style reprints. This is the first 33 issues of the 70s DC Shazam book. So I know the movie's coming up pretty soon, and I thought I'm gonna want to have some Shazam stuff on hand. And plus, they had this one. I got this one first because this was the better find. This is the Shazam, and it's a hardcover actually. And yeah, $4 for this, and it was wrapped. I unwrapped it. But this is the Jeff Johns and Gary Frank. They were backups in the Justice League New 52 show, or yeah, New 52 series. So I've never read this, and I'm really excited. I really love Gary Frank's art, and Jeff Johns has. You know, a lot of people talked about how this was going to spin off into an ongoing, and that's kind of what I was waiting for, and that just never materialized. This was the most expensive thing I bought, Superman Hell on Earth. The reason I bought this was mainly for Kenneth Rockefeller's art. I love his art style. I loved him on, what was it, Red Hood and the Outlaws for the New 52. But yeah, here it is. His style is just so great. So I heard mixed things about this specific crossover, Hell on Earth. I'm not a big Superman guy, so I don't know if I'll end up liking it or even keeping this. But for $5, I thought it was just enough to like look at the art. Plus, it's a nice hardcover. It's usually pretty easy to flip hardcovers, especially big crossovers like this. So I only paid $5. I'm sure I could probably get about that much out of it. And then finally, new Teen Titans game. This was the either 2011 or 2013. I guess I could check. Basically, George Perez and Marv Wolfman got together to write one more new Teen Titans stories, and it is 2011. It is, if you'll notice, actually wider than a standard comic book. It's more of the Marvel graphic novel size, and DC did some graphic novels like that. But really cool, beautiful George Perez artwork with modern coloring. So the only thing is, this new Teen Titans era is a lot of people's favorite. A lot of people really like it. It was really influential on the industry. It introduced some interesting things and changed a lot of the way we saw teen books, especially like teen drama books. But, and I've read them. I have, man, all the stuff I actually happen to have on this shelf. I don't have much on here. But yeah, so I've got the Marv Wolfman, George Perez Teen Titans. And they're good. The stories hold up. But it kind of like the X-Men Chris Claremont stuff, it can get a little wordy. Because this was an era where people were buying random issues off the racks of newsstands and stuff. So they were always kind of getting up to speed with a new story. So when you go back and read them with kind of a modern sensibility, it's a little weirder just because you're getting repetitive information and it doesn't flow as nicely. So what I'm hoping this is a more modern Marv Wolfman style writing, where he takes the opportunity to just assume, like, yes, you know who Starfire is, you know who Nightwing is, you know who I don't even know his name. He became Phantasm later, and that was like the only time he was cool. I think he was Dial H for Hero at first, and yeah, we know all these other people. Don Troy, the Troa era. So I'm hoping it's like this amazing, influential creative team doing a more modern version of the characters that made them famous. So yeah, this was an amazing find. Like I said, all of this was about $50. Tons of books here, some as low as $3 each. Just amazing. So if you have an Ollie's nearby or you have a family member nearby, I'd highly encourage you to ask them to go check it out if there's anything particular you're looking for. The selection was absolutely amazing. I'm really excited to, hopefully it gets some younger kids into comic books because they can, take something over there that's only $3 and people are going to get it. So really excited. Make sure you go check it out. And tell me if you've read any of this stuff, what you thought of it, what I should read first, because a lot of stuff I just kind of set aside and then work on as I get to it. Although Smallville will probably go first. I'm really excited to read those. So until then, go read a comic. Any comic.